Why not start the videos off with a video thanking all the previous members of Fifth Pin Racing, the people that kind of got us to the point where we're at right now. So, for those of you that don't know us, we're a motocross, supercross, esports team, and we've competed in the scene for about 7 years now. We started back in January of 2015 playing Reflex. It kind of started really slowly, but then it picked up really quick. So, like back in the day when I was playing, I started on a team that was just kind of like to be a part of something, but we didn't compete. And that kind of started my desire to put my own team out there. So I started the team. I called it Fifth Pinned Racing because I always thought that fifth pinned was like the fastest. Like, if you're fifth pinned out on the track, you're moving. And so that was my idea for the team name, why I went with it. But then I also kind of made my own name, Fifth Pinned. So it kind of started to look like I named the team after my own in-game name. That's not really what I was aiming for. But back to the point. When I started the team, the first person I ever recruited was a dude that went by the name Heckman. And he goes by a Heckman 2 now, or he also has his own company called Heckman Productions. And he does graphic design, and I believe his wife's photography is also included in that. She does photography and videography. So he's kind of the first person I want to thank because he was the first dude on the team that really helped kick things off. Because I was more focused on the racing aspect of things, and I wasn't focused so much on the team itself and growing the team and growing a following and stuff like that. And he was kind of the first person that did that. He invited people to the team, helped us grow significantly. And not only did he invite people to the team, but he invited some quality people to the team. So the first thanks definitely goes to that guy. Because of him, we had, I think back in near the end of 2015, I believe we had 27 people that were riders for FPR. And it sounds ridiculous. And it kind of was, because at the point where we were then, I wasn't thinking about like legitimate esports. It was just kind of like having the name out there. And so it was crazy. So we ended up having a lot of people that were inactive. And then that's when I was like, all right, we got to restructure things. But so the cool thing about Heckman, he was really fast out of nowhere. Like when he started playing the game, when I first got him on FPR, I was faster than him. And it wasn't like significant. Like we were on the same playing field when we first started playing together. And then over time, he got ridiculous. He was the first person after almost 2 whole seasons of, I'm not even sure what series it was, of a certain individual being undefeated. He was the first person to beat this guy after almost 2 full seasons of winning nonstop. So it was pretty crazy, and to have him on the team for that was just insane. But he invited another dude that I wanted to thank, and that guy, you might know him pretty well, or have at least heard of him, because he's a big name in Reflex because he puts so much into the community. He goes by Dark Slides 19, or DS19. He has a website. It's the replacement for Reflex Central. It's ds19.eu, I believe. He's another big part of the growth for Fifth Pin Racing. He not only does he go fast in the game, he was quick in the game, but he got into content creating. He made tracks for the game, and he also got into the skinning aspect of the game. So he started making gear and graphics, and then he started finding little quirks in the game to make it to where like your boots and your helmet and stuff were invisible, and he'd be riding around headless with no feet, and it was just some wild stuff. And it was just something that nobody was doing. And so I think because of the things that he was able to accomplish, it brought more attention to us. He made 2 tracks in particular that stand out to me, and it was because he made them like fifth pin racing tracks. It's in the name. It either says FPR or fifth pin racing. There's an FPR National, and then there's an FPR Backwoods practice track. And I believe both of them had some pretty like revolutionary aspects to them, because I remember watching Yellow S2K, and they did reviews of the track, and the things that they really liked is that, one, it had this legitimate practice track feel, like a private track that nobody had ever seen. And that was the vibe of the Backwoods practice supercross track. Is that like it was supposed to be hidden away. It was kind of like a track that was for like our team only, is the vibe that it put off. But the things that it had going for it, I think when Dark Slides did it, I don't think he realized how crazy it really was. But he had split rhythms that in some sections there were 3 different lanes. And like some of the sections you could come in and say you crossed it up, there were just a crazy number of line choices that you could have through these rhythm sections. And I think a lot of the guys that played it, I believe even Kellen played it from Start Your Systems. I believe he did a review on the track as well. So that Yellow and Kellen, I believe, all did a review. I think even that white guy did. I believe he did. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. I'll try to link him if I remember. But it just, they really liked the fact that there was so many line selections. And it's not one section that's like that. There's a couple of rhythms that have multiple lanes in them that give you a lot of options. And it made the track a lot of fun because you could dial in one line and then find another line that could rival it, that was also really flowy, and it led to a totally different outcome in the next corner, because every corner had at least 2 options for lines as well. And it was one of those tracks that the way it was built, the inside line was competitive against the outside line, which in Reflex, it's not a common thing. Like the outside line was typically the way to go. Like the way to go fast was to ride the outside line and to take it as wide as you could, as high as you could in the berm, to keep as much speed as you possibly could keep. And with the bump models and stuff that him and C4 Detonator had made, they had, I believe they called them the Catch Me ruts, where basically you could come flying into the section as long as you leaned into that corner and slid right into that rut, that it was going to hold you no matter what. You weren't going to come up over it. It wasn't super likely for you to goof up the corner. So, I mean, there were a lot of things in that particular track, the Backwoods practice track, that were pretty revolutionary. And that was made by Dark Slides. And he made it the fifth pin racing practice track, the Backwoods practice track. And it was pretty awesome. But then he also made the FPR National, which was also a track that had a pretty crazy concept in it that I don't believe had ever been done before he had done it. And it's the fact that he had this interesting jump that went into like a cave. It went into like, I don't know if it was a full-blown cave, but it definitely felt like you jumped into a cave and you rode through a cave for a moment. Now, it may have been a trench, but I think the way that it looked when you did it, it was like legitimately a cave. And then you came out of that, there were some big jumps, and then you also had a big water jump, like a jump where you had to clear it, because if you didn't, you were going over like a river or creek or whatever it was. I haven't played it in a while, but I distinctly remember those 2 things being pretty wild. And I don't think before Dark Slides had done it, I don't believe it was charted territory. So those 2 things were pretty awesome to have, especially to have Dark Slides make those and put FPR in the title of them. It's just awesome. And that, I believe, that is part of our growth, part of what brought attention to us, along with having fast guys on our team like Heckman. But then not too long after Dark Slides had joined the team and made the tracks, Heckman left for another team, and he ended up going off to play simulator. There's a lot of, I guess, time between Dark Slides and the next person that I want to thank, but The next guy, you might know him as Cyclops 21. Um, dude was just cracked. This was after Reflex, and we had moved on to Monster Energy Supercross, and the team had significantly shrank. We pretty much weeded out all the inactive guys, and then it got to the point where like we were only adding guys that could make pro mains. Like if you couldn't crack the top 12, then we weren't particularly interested, unless there were some exceptions because we did want to have some veterans on the team. So we had some guys that were either in the military or were in the military at some point. So we had some Coast Guard guys, some Marines and stuff like that, some Air Force. So it was really cool to have that aspect. But it was mostly just fast guys. We wanted to have a presence in the pro mains. We wanted to have a name or two up there that we're competing amongst the best. And that wasn't me. It wasn't me. So Cyclops was just cracked. And the crazy thing about Cyclops is not only was he fast, but he was fast in first person. And that guy is the reason for why I started playing in first person. I always played third person, but I was like, well, maybe this dude's dumb fast because of his camera angle. Maybe that's what it is. So that led me to take on the first person camera, and that was in Monster Energy Supercross 2. And it was just because he was insanely fast. He won the East and West Coast 250 championship titles in the DMR Supercross series back in Monster Energy Supercross 2. He won both because in that series you can run both East and West. So it's just nuts, man. The dude was fast. So I have to thank him because that dude brought 2 titles to the team. And another dude that brought a title to the team, which I don't know how much it counts, but back in 2017, we hosted our own series. We had a fifth pin racing. It was a 2-stroke, I believe it was a 125 only series. And it was won by one of our own guys. He has his own YouTube channel as well. He's into MX bikes and he's into some FPV drones. So I believe that's what his content is. It's mostly, I believe, bikes or maybe just motocross games in general. He plays them all, I believe. And he won that series. His name is Osas. We all call him Osh. That's usually what he goes by in game. But his channel, I believe, is called Osas. He won the FPR 2-stroke national title, which I don't know if it's legitimate. To me, it is, but to some people, it's like, well, that's your own series. Your own guys won it. Sounds rigged to me, which fair enough. But I'm gonna give him the credit because I didn't rig it. The dude won it straight up. Then we have Weedy, who is kind of our current star pupil. Dude's cracked. He's a young kid, and he's nuts. He's on a different level. He's one of those guys that can just pick up anything and be good at it. We played bikes the other day. The dude's cracked at bikes. We play Supercross. He smokes me at Supercross. Started playing Trackmania. The dude, it only took him an hour to be ridiculous at Trackmania. The dude's chasing the top times in a state already in Trackmania, sometimes in the country. It's just he's got a talent, and it definitely shows. If you watch any of the streams from Sword, or if you've watched Transcend streams, back when Weedy was actually actively competing, he was just untouchable. In my opinion, I would say untouchable. I think if Weedy was still taking it seriously and racing every week, I really think that Weedy would be up there as the top guy without question. I believe he's got 250 titles as well, just like Cyclops does. Those are the guys that I definitely want to thank, because I myself am not always there, and these guys, they carry the team when I'm not around, or when I'm not really putting a whole lot of effort into it, and they keep the team going. And like Weedy, when I'm not around, he's still actively trying to grow the team. He's still inviting fast guys to join us. and weeding through our team applications chat in our Discord, and trying to find out who these good riders are, so that we can keep being competitive against the whole scene. So I definitely owe a big thanks to those guys for carrying the team. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say in this video. I want to add to this. I want to add some video, maybe like some gameplay, but I feel like that'll take away from another idea that I have. And so maybe I'll just leave it at this, and just say thanks to those guys. Thank you, Heckman. Thank you, Dark Slides. Thank you, Osh, Cyclops, Weedy. Those are the real big guys, and there's been a whole lot more over the years that we've been competing. Those are the guys that really stand out to me. Yeah, I really want to thank those guys. So with all that being said, I just I want to thank all you guys for watching, and maybe contemplate subscribing, hitting that bell notification, like the video. But most importantly, I'd really like you, if you made it through this, to go down in the comments section and give me some feedback. I want to know, what can I do better? What do you want to see from this channel? Because with this being my first video, I'm kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, and I really want to know where I stand on this first video, and try to improve from it, try to grow with the help from you guys. So if you could do that for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one.